Hello, welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and Kroot Warshapers to that 6+++ show. I'm your host, Tom, very lowest of men, back once again with the nerds of the 6++ 40k team. We're a bunch of guys in England. We like playing Warhammer, and we're going to tell you about it today. We're talking about new armies and how to learn them. We've got a bunch of guys from trying new stuff, so they're going to impart their many wisdoms. But also, we've got our very own event kicking off very, very soon. And we're going to be doing the pairings for that live on the show tonight. So that's super, super exciting. Going to introduce our cast of players, do a little bit of promotion, and then we'll get into it. Bottom left, my dear leader, Chris. Chris, how are you, sir?
I'm ill, Tom.
Yeah, you did mention that, actually. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, gotta get
How
that out
contagious does it feel? Does it feel like you're going to give it to us in a few days?
I'm hoping at the stage it is, by the time we get to Friday, I'll be fit as a fiddle.
Okay. Hope doth butter no parsnips, Chris.
Fingers crossed. I did the unlikely teacher thing of not getting ill during half term.
That just means you get sick when you go back. Yeah. So that's probably a bug from like Spain or Italy or some nice place.
Or somewhere as beautiful as Norwich.
Or Norwich.
Of course, we had our 6++ versus
Black
Crow Gaming GT, which was very nice at the lovely Viking Hall. In Norwich. Really great venue, actually. Really nicely well run event by the guys over there. They do events every month, so definitely go and check them out, really, because literally no complaints. They had good toilets, good parking, good food. What more could you want? And half the price of, say, a £75 ticket. So,
that sounds very specific, Chris, and I like
it's quite niche, isn't it?
I think there's a very specific comparison to draw, and it sounds favourable, is what I'd say. That sounds.
I'd agree with that.
Lots of love to the Black Crow guys. I hope you all had a great time. And Chris, obviously, you're famous at the moment for playing armies that don't do much damage and having middling results. So, how did your weekend go?
Thanks, Tom. So I thought I'd change it up. And the week before the event, I was like, you know what? Sod it. I want to play Thousand Suns. Let's just take Thousand Suns. This will fast track my learning.
It went pretty well, though, right?
It did. I managed to win my first 4 games, got to the final, then played like a bit of a muppet and got battered by Toby. But I had a lot of fun. And it was quite nice to win games again.
So, I think it confirms what was always true, which is you're very good at this, and it was just that Grey Knights have not been the one for some time. So that must feel good for you.
It was nice. It's been a while since I've gone like undefeated on like day one, and then especially to get to a final, it's been a couple of years. So it was quite nice to play, and I felt like I played okay. Don't get me wrong, there were various points where I was like, oh god, and I forgot so many of my rules. Like even in the final, I was like, right, here we go. Oh, there's these land speeders. Right, reroll 1s to hit, +1 to hit on my Terminators. Left the land speeder on 3 wounds, and I was like, oh, I didn't reroll any of my hits here. That's not ideal, is it? So yeah, I was doing things like that still, but at the same time, it was quite cool to. I've not really used big monsters before, and using Magnus, he's quite fun.
He's ridiculous fun.
Game 4, I think it was. My dice were probably the hottest they've ever been in any single game, and my Mutilith Vortex Beasts were just rolling save after save after save, and my opponent was like, "Here's 9 Castigator shots. Oh, I've rolled 1-3 and missed with all the others." It was the most bizarre game, and it was quite nice to have that in the bank. So.
Terrific.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of Mutilith, big fan of Magnus, big fan of Thousand Suns in general.
I think it's the beginning of a beautiful relationship.
Absolutely.
Exciting. Obviously, you have literally fast-tracked a new army in a matter of what feels like days to then 4
It was literally a week. So.
There must surely be tips you can impart from that.
I will probably have 1 or 2 things.
I imagine you have some thoughts on that, which is very exciting. Also joining us tonight are 2 men who've both been learning Guard. Look at them. Look how happy they both look. I will start with you, Jack, up top left. How are things with you, my friend?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, I've been spent most of this week, last week, just painting more Guard. I've kind of honed in on a list that I really like. Played a couple of games on it, and I don't want to change it, which is pretty new for me at the moment on this army. So, just smashing that out. And then I had to come down from the high yesterday of seeing the Twin Lance release for Tau.
You were pretty excited about that, Jack. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, quite excited. That is a very, very powerful data sheet by the looks of it.
It really is. It really is. It was enjoyable watching people respond to it. A lot of whom I don't think really appreciated what that sheet can do. but you seemed to know straight away the nonsense that thing is going to be doing. So I'm not looking forward to playing against it. But it's cool, right? The models themselves are amazing, and the rules are very, very good. Do you have any top tips for people who are thinking about whether they want to use the Twin Lance or not?
Do that. But if you want to see lots of top tips, I've got a video coming out this week on the Twin Lances and things you can do and attachments you can run it in. So you can look at that.
Excellent response to my question that I didn't even remember you had. So that's really good. It's so effortless, you know. And have you done any 40k yourself this week?
This week, no. I've been mostly doing painting stuff. I do have playing in the local league at Inspired in Peterborough. I got that game on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I've just been like playing the old game. Been playing a lot of WTC still. But yeah, that's it for me, really.
Terrific. And over in the platoon, I'm also joined by Rob. Rob, how goes it?
Good. I've abandoned the guard this weekend though. Which
have you actually? No,
I have.
What
yeah. Dark Angels.
One assumes.
Dark Angels. Yeah. So I've been playing in my King of the Ping list and really been enjoying that. And I thought, you know what, let's actually take it to an event. It has nothing to do with it. I have about 80 models to paint my guard army that I'm not borrowing off Harley. So there may be a reason there. Yeah. So it's Dark Angels this week. But yeah, I've been playing the guard and they're a lot of fun. We've got a little internal scrim, don't we, going on? So I'm playing.
We do. Yeah, we're trying to do more of that now. So a bit more practice between ITTs of just the team playing against the team. So we paired that today. Me and Jack, quite excited to find out. Me and Jack were both agreeing that there were quite a few matchups there where it was like someone's wrong, and we've almost we've paired more or less into all of them to find out, which I think is quite fun.
All 20s. That doesn't sound right.
What a bold young man, in he goes. So I think that's going to be lots of fun, and we'll obviously be doing that more. We've done this before, but if you're interested in doing a TTS scrim against us and you've got a 5-man team, you want to practice some UK TC teams, we're always up for trying to get that in. So do drop us a message. We'll be happy to. We have a lot of players these days, so that's exciting, and we should be able to schedule you in. Okay. As for myself, I've been doing England stuff because it's only like 2 months until selection now. So I have been dabbling away on GSC Drakarian Eldar primarily because I think Greg's got the Votan covered at the moment. I don't really feel like I need to do any Votan because Greg does it so well. And that's been really fun. It's been great playing lots of different builds and detachments and everything else. So shout out to everyone who's given me a game at some point in the last few weeks with that.
Are you ready for all that prep to go in the bin when the new edition comes out?
I am. I think really, and again, this is, I suppose, relevant fodder for the show. What you're really trying to show is, look, I can pick things up quickly, figure them out, and use them. That's the skill, isn't it, at the end of the day? And I think that's, for this, with an edition change more than ever, going into a meta like that, you need people who can figure things out fast, because that's going to be the demand of WTC. And it's going to be really interesting to see which teams can pull that off and what nonsense we can find. Or not find. I'm intrigued. Hopefully we can figure that out. Alrighty, okay. So from a self-promotional standpoint, thanks so much for listening. You all rock. Please do hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Please do leave comments on the video if you haven't already. That's all absolutely amazing for us. And if you want to sign up and support us as a YouTube member, we'd love to have you, and all that money helps us to get the channel thriving and functioning and build even more ambitious plans for you in the future as well. As far as the chat goes, who's in? Let's have a shout out. We've got Scrivo in. He's excited. Davey's in. Jerry's in. Gordy's in. Hubris D is in. There's a lot of hype. I sense quite a lot of the people who are going to our event this weekend might be in chat, which is good. So do pipe up. If you're going to our event, let us know. Are you going? What are you taking? Are you looking forward to it? Etc. etc. We would very much like to hear from you. So do shout us out. Okay. This will probably be a show of 2 parts. I think we'll do a little natter around new armies and learning new armies first, because that is indeed the title of the show. It's important to do what you say you're going to do. And then we will move and look ahead to our GT, which is this weekend in Prestige at Barnsley. It's the second one we run up there. We love John Swallow and we love Prestige Wargaming, so that's going to be loads of fun. There's tons of the community going, and obviously it's helping to raise money and funds for our WTC streaming setup as well, which is super exciting.
I was just browsing the pairings because they're not released yet, but they've been
but
done.
You can see them.
And oh my word.
Okay. Oh no. Okay.
There are some pretty good ones in there, guys. For a while. Yeah, It's free
Chris
jokes.
knows how to keep an audience on
This
the
is where we
chat
need shock
for an
face.
hour.
You won't believe number 7.
Excellent, excellent stuff. Maybe Chris can drop cryptic clues about the pairings as we go, if he's feeling brave. Fantastic. All right. Well, before we dive into that, we will talk about learning new armies and picking up new armies, because this is something that everyone here has experience in, and it's something that all three of the players here that aren't me have been doing in literally the last few weeks with different armies, Guard and Thousand Suns primarily. So I think it's also something that people who know me will know I've done a lot. So I think we can have plenty to say on that. And I think really what I'd like to boil this down to is some key ways to get the absolute most out of this when you're getting started. I know a lot of people really struggle with that learning curve when they pick up a new army, and it can put people off. I think it can be a really difficult growing stage in your player development, trying something very different. But actually, the more I've done it over the years and the more I've watched others do it, there are very real shortcuts you can take and very real things you can do that make it so much easier. So in a very teacher kind of way, I want us to start with where it goes wrong. From your experience, guys, what are the things you can do wrong when trying to pick up a new army? How can you get this wrong? Jack, you seem to have thoughts. Go.
One thing you shouldn't do is go to the faction-specific subreddit and ask for advice, because one thing you will find is that I feel like most people, especially like faction specialists, have a very warped view on like factions and stuff. So while it is obviously good to speak to people who already play the faction, right? There's like lots of faction experts, lots of content creators out there you can learn from. Be careful about taking too much information from the cultural zeitgeist of 40k, because it can be quite warped and your perceptions can be fueled. Right, like people say, Thousand Suns is a really hard army to play, but Chris has clearly proved that it's not.
Brutal. I like the bit where you dug at Chris. That was good.
Yeah, I like that bit too.
I think you're right on the Reddit. I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's a bit like going to ask a bunch of people who are absolutely sick of running, hey guys, do you like running? And like they've been doing it for too long, they're jaded, they're fed up with it. And I think with faction experts or people who've been playing the army a long time, sometimes you don't get the useful view when you're coming in from outside, right?
The sort of general point I was going to go is it's not just Reddit specific. I mean, like Discords and all that sort of stuff. I would say that the better way to go about it is to just like, I mean, it's a super easy, obvious answer, but just play games, right? Is a good way to do it, right? There's no substitute for experience, especially when it comes to early on getting a feel for the army and seeing if you like it or not. I remember when I first started playing Guard, that it was the thing that really got me into enjoying playing Guard is I liked how well their play on the table correlated with the theme, like the lore theme of like they play on the table the way that they should in the lore. So that's kind of what got me very motivated to keep playing it. And I think especially if you let yourself get into like a negative spiral about a faction by looking at online discourse, then that's not really very productive. So you want to sort of find things out for yourself rather than necessarily relying on.
Completely. I think leaving room for finding stuff out for yourself is really important, and also recognizing that you will see and interact with things in slightly different ways to other players, right? Me and Rob can attest to this in our Drukhari years. Like we just do it differently. We always have. There's a lot of overlap in how we think about things, but there's a lot of difference. And we know a lot of Drukhari players, and they all see it in slightly different little ways. And they're very keen to tell you when they do and to trademark that space for themselves and make sure that people know that 75 points is what makes them special. Okay, Rob and Chris, any other tips for what not to do?
Pick up a 2,000 point army. Go even buying it after it wins a GT. Don't do it. Understand why you're picking something up, and don't just go buy an army because it's good.
Good. And why do we think that's maybe not a good plan, Rob?
Because by the time you've built it and painted it, it will not be good.
Yes.
And you'll end up in a spiral.
I have a vivid memory of Pete Duff leaving Element Games with like 3 Keeper of Secrets, like the Sunesh in the Halo of Sunesh. That army literally existed for about 2.5 months, and I never saw Pete Duff use them. So it's like, I don't think that's the way, right? Trying to crest the wave You probably want a more long-term approach with an army for sure.
Yeah.
100%. Chris, how about you?
I think it's from in terms of you and yourself, like don't have like high expectations of immediate success, even if that army is kind of like incredibly strong, right? Certain armies are strong for certain reasons. It might well be that the army you're picking up doesn't actually suit your playstyle, so you won't be able to play them particularly well. Maybe it's just going to take some time for it to click, etc. So don't just go in, oh, this is a new army, oh, it's really strong, why aren't I doing well with it? Oh, it's rubbish, I should bin it off. Just like try and just accept that it's absolutely fine to, especially when it's a new play style. I mean, I will always use the example of Death Guard, right? Like Death Guard were incredibly strong. I got one practice game into them. I took them to an event. I did absolutely shocking with them because they were, in order to be successful with them, yes, they were a really powerful list, but in order to be successful with them, there were other things. You had to be used to that play style, and you had to know how to play the matchups and stuff.
Yeah.
And then their raw power was great. But other than that, like, you know, I was able to prove quite convincingly that it could be played badly. So yeah, don't necessarily just have high expectations that it's just immediately going to be amazing. It's perfectly fine. If this is an army, like for me, when I was playing Death Guard, I was miserable because it wasn't fun to play and I was losing. I managed to get a couple of practice games in with the Thousand Sons, but I was enjoying the process of losing with them in my practice games, right? So much so that by the time I got to the event, I was a lot more prepared. So it's, yeah, as kind of like Rob said, don't pick purely on power. But also, if you do know they're inherently powerful, don't just assume you're immediately going to do really well with them.
100%. Yeah, that learning curve is very real, and I think it's one of those things where if you attach all your value to the immediate outcomes, then you're going to give up on something before you've even done it, right? And that's not useful. You have to kind of accept you're sort of starting from square one with something here, and although your core skills will carry over, your results are going to vary a bit as you figure it out. GSC is my example. I never won with GSC for like 3 months when I was learning that army, and then eventually I figured it out.
Yeah, you can kind of look at it the other side. It's just kind of freeing that, knowing that you're going to be shit with this army because it gives you an excuse to lose. And
Yes.
I found that moving off Drakari when I was, I effectively expected myself to go 4-1. Changed to Elder, I'm like, cool, if I get 2 wins, I'm happy.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's it. You can embrace that opportunity, right, rather than treat it as a negative. All right. Okay. So if we're going to try and break down how we can learn something effectively and get the most out of learning it, what kinds of advice would you guys have?
I would say before learning, the first step before you learn how to play an army is learn like what the army's rules are.
Yes.
And I'm gonna like take a leaf out of the teacher's note here. It's good to know whether you are a visual learner, an auditory learner, or a kinetic learner. Yeah. Some people will learn better by just reading the rules, right? Just looking at them and learning it. Some people will learn better by playing it and learning by doing, right? And some people will learn better by listening to other people talk to them about it, watching content online, right? And like the videos we've done, or any other channel on YouTube does that goes through these things, right? So knowing how is the best way for you to learn, because it's like Chris said earlier, right? If you forget a bunch of rules, that's only going to hurt you later on, right? So it's good to know what your army does and what its limitations and strengths are. So I'd probably say start by learning the army's rule. Again, very obvious one, but something that people will kind of overlook a lot of the time. But yeah, just learn your army's rules in a way that is beneficial to you, right? Because everyone learns in a different way.
100%. And I think that to extend from that, like learning the character, right? The character of the army is really nice. You kind of alluded to it earlier on, but if you know the sort of stylistic approach of an army and the aesthetic and how it's kind of meant to do business on the table, I think that's really, really useful. Thank you to Tentacles in the chat who says bottom right guy looks like a British Jason Biggs. I've not actually heard that one. I quite like it. I'll take it.
Can we also shout out Ashley's daughter wondering why you look like you're wearing your pajamas?
These actually are pajamas.
There we go.
Yeah,
Ashley's daughter, who's actually wearing pajamas.
Yeah. I'm chilling out. It's been a busy day. I'm in a very relaxed mood here with the gym jams. I'm enjoying myself. So I think that is a very good point, Jack, in terms of the army character and different types of learning for different people. How about you, Chris? What do you think in terms of getting started? What's a good way to kind of fast track?
So I am fully aware that the first time I play an army, I essentially act like I've never played Warhammer before. And that's just something I accept. Many years ago, my other go at Thousand Suns, it was I played Alex Chancellor in round one. Alex genuinely thought I was brand new to Warhammer because I was playing so badly and forgetting everything. So, and I'm okay with that. I'm at peace with that for myself. So I had 3 games in the build up to my event. Game one, I played into Jim. I literally just sat in my deployment zone. He ran at me with Emperor's Children, and I read the rules off the sheet, and I was trying to just find out what some of my units did. And then after that, and I think this is really important early on, is keep rereading your rules. Like every day, I was on half term, so it helped, but every day I had my app open, and I would just be, if I had a bit of quiet time, I'd be like, right, Magnus, what's his shooting profile? And I would just be like, just trying to remind myself. But what I find is you can do that. You get into a game situation, you will immediately forget. In a, like, if I was just like, oh, what are my spells and what do they go off on? Fine, I could remember them. My next game, which was against Ed, I was immediately like, right, can't remember any of my spells. What do they cast on? Blah, blah. I just forgot it all because I was in a game situation. But I did remember more of my rules, and I was able to start thinking a little bit about kind of like deployment and that sort of thing. And then game 3 was against Sam on Ultramarines. I mean, I just spent my time getting shot off the board, really. But it was kind of, this was where I was like, right, I kind of understand the rules now. And so after 3 games, those first 3 games, I was really only focusing on my own units and where I could put them. Once I got to the tournament, and it took a while, but that's when I was then thinking about what my opponent could do. But to begin with, I was only thinking about like my own units. So I wasn't worried about the outcome of the game. I was just thinking about where would these units be, what could they do, and that sort of thing. And that worked really well for me. And then the other thing that was super, super important, especially trying to fast track learning, was having a deployment and first turn plan of understanding. Now, I was very, very lucky. Good old Angron in the chat, Alex Fowler. He spent a lot of time like sending me ideas and like
he
videos.
Takes deployment very seriously, does Alex
Fowler. He was amazing, and basically I went into every game with a deployment plan and kind of an idea of what wanted to go where and like a general vibe. And having that deployment plan just wiped away so many concerns that you would normally have. So if you are taking an army to an event and you haven't got many reps, genuinely open it up on TTS, work it out, like draw the lines to cut off so you know when
you've been talking to Fowler.
And just place them in the spots. And then I always say this: draw your cards, play out your turn 1. Where do you go? And just so you just kind of have that in. Having the screenshots is one thing, but the extra step for me was I kept redeploying the army, because quite often if you have the screenshots and you've not done lots of reps with the redeploying or the deploying of the army, you kind of get to the event and you're like, oh, what goes where? I don't know. And that's what I found with like the GW events. When we went to the team thing, I practiced deploying the Grey Knights, and as soon as I played, I was kind of like, oh, I actually can't remember where I deployed anything. But this time I'd done it lots of times. I had the screenshots. I was in a really good place. Yeah, Alex is right.
Alex in the chat says Chris kept sending me photos of his rhino basically in the open. Yeah, Alex does not like that rhino getting hurt. Don't let that rhino get hurt. It's quite...
I still got shot. It still got shot. It was good. Now, Alex was invaluable.
The deployment practice, I think, is a really real one because it's a running theme. I honestly think a lot of games I play, when I play against someone who's perhaps a little bit less on it with an army, their first turn is almost them fixing things. It's like, oh, actually, I want to be over here. Actually, I want to go here. I'm going to try and sort this. And you've got 5 turns to play, right? So if you've used one of them just making adjustments and sort of trying to fine tune and recover things, then that's 20% of your opportunities to do that gone already. So I think, as you say, knowing your sort of opening moves and first turns with an army is absolutely huge. And it is quite schematic, right? Different armies are quite schematic, and you'll find that as you venture into an army, what it wants to do and where things want to go falls into nice patterns, but you want to know what those are before you're actually playing games, for sure. So deployment time is very good for that. How about you, Rob? Any advice here?
I think when you're at the list design stage is to keep it simple and build around like a clear win path.
Yeah.
So I know for my experience of Drakari, that is score secondaries to die primary.
Yes.
Is where I am. And then when I built my guard list, I'm like, you know what, that's a natural play style. So I'm going to tailor a little towards that. So I've got lots of chaff, lots of OC2 chaff. So I'm going, okay, I don't need to adjust my play style too much. I can just throw dudes out, deny primary, draw things out to shoot them with dawns. Like that is my plan effectively. And it's just keeping that plan simple. Go, this is my win path, and I don't want to overcomplicate it too far.
Completely. As far as getting kind of the use out of, I guess, the units and combinations, what have you guys found key to figuring out good and strong combinations and ways to use the units in your army and the rules in your army quickly? What's the best ways here to figure that kind of thing out, do we think?
Well, this is where, we'll self-plug now. This is where content creators can come in.
Right?
Because the one thing I found is that much like a small infant baby, consuming content on factions can be too nutrient rich for your newbie brain, and sometimes it's not all going to like work and sink in. So sometimes you have to like get a couple games in, learn the basics of the faction, and then when you go to like some of the stuff that content creators are putting out, it will make more sense to you and it can kind of sink in a little bit better. I hope that metaphor made any kind of sense.
I know. I like the way it got weirder as it went.
It was So I mean, so yeah, I would say once you're kind of like okay with the basics, and you're moving on to like unit combos. That's when you looking online for like content creators and stuff. That's when that process kind of works out a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I mentioned it multiple times on the channel before. And I saw him in the chat earlier. Joshi's in here. He has a bunch of really good guard.
Joshi, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
He has a bunch of really good guard videos, and I was able to learn like a bunch of stuff about unit specific stuff from his videos, right? And that was very helpful for me early on. But I know that when I first looked at it, it was all effectively gibberish to me, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't really helpful for me. So I had to wait until I had played, half a dozen games before I was able to really pass that kind of information and understand why things that were good were good.
100%. Yeah, I had a very similar experience with Host of Ascension. Obviously, that was a GSC list that I didn't use much when the book came out. I was playing Bio, but then suddenly Host was very much in demand, and I'm looking at those lists thinking, well, actually, where do things go and how does this work? And the actual tempo of that list in terms of when bricks arrive and how you apply your damage and how you line things up and block things to keep using things was very specific. And obviously Innis was basically the only one out there in the world doing that particularly well and consistently at that time. And it takes quite a while, and watching Innis play really clarified a lot of things in terms of seeing how that is used. And you definitely need to figure those combinations out, I think, for sure.
I think GST is a really good example, right? Because they have the way that you string out models and you pull them out. It's like something you don't really get that until you've done it. Guard is another good example, right? When you had the 27-man bricks with the 20 guys, the command squad, the Castellan and the Ogren, you don't necessarily understand like why that unit is good until you've played it and you know like, oh, I need to allocate wounds in this order, and then that unit becomes basically unkillable in one activation, right? So, but until you've done that, until you've like had it imprinted in your brain, like some stuff like that is quite difficult to understand.
100%. Yeah, and if you ever watch Matt Bell play Necron Warriors, it's the same thing where it's like it's not just a brick of guys, it's like a daisy chain of nonsense, and if you position it in a certain way, it's incredibly hard for armies to meaningfully engage with that and put it away. But it takes practice of layering and setting that up right and doing that properly. I'm going to shout out a couple of people in the chat. Thank you, Tentacles, after calling me Jason Biggs, for signing up as a YouTube member. Now asking about, is there a members Discord? There certainly is. I'm glad you asked. If you're signed up as a YouTube member, you'll get access to a whole bunch of members-only stuff in our Discord. And if you're signed up as a chapter master, you can also unlock our coaching Discord, where us and a bunch of others are teaching people to play 40k all the time. I saw we have 100 people in there now. Pretty exciting. So if that sounds like something you'd like, get in there. Yeah, go on, Chris.
I'll just add that quite often the auto give you access doesn't work.
Classic.
So Tentacles, if you just message me on Discord, and I will just I'll give you the role so that you can see the members section, because the members section has a chat, but it's also got a list surgery thing where you can submit lists, and on our Monday lunchtime show, which Jack Tite and myself do, we will analyze your list for you.
100%. Yeah, definitely worth looking at. Lots of fun stuff in there, so do go. Marco Robert Shaw says, lean on the community and your friends around you. If your friends haven't played what you're picking up, they may have played against it and be able to help. I think that's a big one.
Yeah.
That's-
Seek out players. I learned so much in our stream game when I played Joshi. I found out I was getting rules wrong. I found out how he applied pressure differently. It's just like watching someone talk about something and seeing an actual game. It's black and white for how much you're going to learn and actually being involved in that game.
Completely. Dracaria's people will know as an army I come back to intermittently and then go flying away again. Whenever I do come back, I do tend to slide into Rob's DMs and be like, what's going on? Where are we at? What's happening? And Rob is very good at getting me up to speed on that. And you've got to use those resources, right? One thing I've been really impressed with within the England setup this year is Boris, where Boris is someone, he's a busy man. He does a lot of important shit. It's not easy for him to get as much game time. His level, as you've seen around the UK, is phenomenally high. And a big part of that is that he just goes and asks and gets that information when he needs it. If it's matrix, if it's combinations, if it's play patterns, when something's new, he will just go and ask all the questions. He's got no ego there. He will just go and lean on the expertise of others and build things really quickly. So, yeah, be proactive. Go and ask lots of questions, get lots of advice. As we've seen this week, Chris has essentially gone from 0 to 4-1 with Thousand Suns. And a big part of that is seeking the advice of possibly the best T-Suns player there is. It's close. It's not a mile off. He's
probably second now.
Oh, sorry. yeah, you're right. Alex only actually won 3 games with them in this balance cycle, whereas you won.
Bit embarrassing.
Yeah, so technically you are now the master.
I'm the main Thousand Suns player for C++.
That's it.
80% win rate.
Chris will be starting Alfarius on T-Suns.
Yeah, can't argue with statistics, my friend.
But asking the right questions is a big thing, right? I think in line with that, I know Jack has talked warily of Reddit and Discord. I completely share his concerns, but there are little streams of gold out there as well, and you have to find the good ones, right? And you'll know when you're in a good one because the mood will be constructive. There'll be lots of things being tried. There'll be interesting combinations and opinions being aired, and there'll be a genuine mood of things can be done in there. And when you find those streams and they pop up all over the place, do definitely be proactive in those and ask questions and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You just have to sift a little bit sometimes with the information.
Yeah, you just need to moderate the content you're consuming, right? If the people there are complaining that something is completely overpowered or completely underpowered or whatever, then they may be a biased opinion, right? So
yes,
it's just worth moderating that content.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I think one thing I was struck by, I think this edition really gives you, through detachments, almost kind of roadmaps to follow as well. That's something I really like when I'm learning a new army, is like I sort of do it a detachment at a time, because I think good detachments have something in mind for how you're going to do it and what's going to work. And so if you see the detachment as I'm learning a mini army first, and then I'll learn another mini army and another, and actually from there you'll have built out. And a lot of the bigger collection armies especially are like this, because actually you're not going to use all the same stuff in one across the other. I think working backwards from what a detachment wants is really interesting in terms of the units and the combinations it puts you onto. My current example is Auxiliary Cadre Tau, which is the only Tau I know anything about, because that's the one I can get for free on the app, and I haven't added my codex to the app yet. So that's the one I'm going to do. We're going to do Crusade. Me and Screw are going to do it in Crusade. And I was reading the rules for that, and obviously that really wants a sort of combined arms, Crute and Tau, and combination plays off the two. That's not really how a lot of the Tau lists I see play, but that is certainly what Orcs CAD wants. And for me, that's quite exciting because I'm a Crute enjoyer. So I think the specifics, Biosanctic would be another good example, right, in GSC. That wanted melee, you go all in melee. But actually, if you're playing GSC in the long term, you'll actually play very different styles across other detachments as well. I don't know if you guys
exciting doing that as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you open things up and like I said before, like copy meta lists. You're not creating yourself. Like there's something about opening up the app and going, what seems good in this? Infernus Marines and Salamanders. That sounds good. Let's try that. Let's try the list. Yeah. You just mess around, and like we were saying before, there's no expectations. Just like let's try something different.
100%, and I think that's where the creative spark is a really fun thing, and if you have that positive spark with an army, that really helps, because you need the positivity, because you've got to get through a few tough games and tough learning. So if you're feeling good and excited about it, that helps you get back in the ring, I think, as well. Okay, as far as sort of, I guess, making it through, let's say, the first 5 or 6 games with an army, what do you guys think? What has helped you to really sort of kick on quickly in actual playing to trying to get as quickly as you can to a point where you feel very comfortable? Obviously, we've talked about deployment already, but as far as actual games and outcomes and learnings, how have you guys worked forwards with an army?
Go to an event, throw yourself in the deep end, have a couple of practice games, and just go to an event. I think with Guard, I had about half a dozen games, then went to ITT as a first defender. It was fucking great. Like, you go in there, you're like, "What's your matrix like?" Not sure. Think it's a 3. Think it's a 4. But yeah, it's just good fun. Like,
I won't lie, that was what he was doing.
Yeah, I was putting force down for mirrors. It was great.
10, and then like 20 minutes into a Death Guard game, he's like, "I'm going to 18 this guy," and he did, and it was like, "Oh my god!"
I would argue going to a team's event with an army you've never played before and guessing all of your pairings, probably not the advice all of us would give.
Look, it worked. It worked out.
Every single man has done that.
So maybe not teams, but singles event. RTT. Let's go RTT. That's probably better advice.
They are really good reps though, aren't they? Because I think you then get real conditions. Like, what will you actually remember when you're under a bit of duress? What will you actually do positioning wise? How will you actually sort of apportion damage and these kinds of things as well?
You have the time pressure as well.
Exactly.
And the amount of times I got halfway through an activation, I'm like, "Fuck it, I'm not going to shoot my las guns." Like, I couldn't be bothered looking up their profiles.
Yeah. What I like about in-event practices, you quickly find what I'm not going to do against, right? You learn very hard lessons, right? I think something like spite in a tough game, like, you're not going to save your CP ever again. Once you've done that once, you're like, "Oh yeah, this is awful and I've made a huge mistake." Or I think it was in 8th edition when you had old school Eldar fire and fade, I forgot to fire and fade my 10 Dark Reapers and they all got killed by a repulsor or something. I was like, "Oh, I won't do that again. I'm conscious I won't do that again." Although you can see me on stream forgetting to do that again with Flager when we played at IGP a little while ago. So, maybe that doesn't work, but in theory that works. Any other points from you guys for that?
I would say pick one unit or one small group of units and just like have a plan for them, know what they're going to do, and kind of learn it bit by bit. So like for a Guard, a good example, right? You can have Kassakin, right? You're like, "Okay, I know what Kassakin do. I'm gonna try and be aggressive with Kassakin. I'm gonna try and use like some plays. We're gonna push them forward, and we're gonna unload everything into some scoring units and get the game started, right?" And then you learn what they do, and then maybe a few games later you're like, "Well, I'm going to run double Rogaldorn, and we're going to see how double Rogaldorn does. We're going to focus on that." So then you can kind of learn the army in pieces in that way.
Yes. Yeah, and I think armies are good now for having like plugins, aren't they? So if you're like, this is my core, this is my build around, these like 3 big units are what I'm actually going to play around. For Chris, it's Mutaliths and Magnus, right? I'm going to see how these things interplay with one another. Or if you're using like a brick of Terminators or something like that, you can focus your practice around a particular concept like that, which I think is really, really positive in that sense. Andrew Baldwin in chat says, "Funnily enough, back when I was playing a lot, I would use tournaments to test ideas and practice to then fine-tune what I discovered in events. Something very powerful." Yeah, I think that feedback loop is actually the most positive, because I'm yet to meet the 40k player who came back from an event and didn't want to play more games, right? They always you come back with loads of ideas. I think the ideas that get sparked through playing are really, really valuable in terms of what you're going to do with an army going forward. And you won't get that many ideas from like a game a week or whatever else, right? You're not going to have that same inspiration, I don't think. Okay, interesting. I think one thing that did occur to me with learning new armies is, as far as the struggles one has to face, what are the sort of recurring challenges and how can we deal with them? What do we think the major setbacks and issues are likely to be, and how do we persevere through these?
Rules. Looking the rules. There's someone who just tried to play an army, and it has a lot of rules, right? And I could reel off all the rules. I could tell you that an Infernal Master flips the dice to a 6. Did I ever do that? No, of course I didn't. Forgot that every single time. So there are certain rules which will stick in your head, certain rules that won't. I know Davey is a big proponent of the cheat sheet. He's been mentioning it in the chat as well. And it's what I should have done. That I should have had a tiered sheet of what I was doing in each phase, like stratagems I could use, the powers I'm going to be trying to do, what are the rules. Because quite often I go to the shooting phase and be like, there's lethal hits somewhere, there's rerolls somewhere, we've got reroll hits, we've got reroll wounds, we've got like there's so many things, right? So having like a cheat sheet maybe, and what I could have really done with was tokens, like Cabal ones, just so I could put it and say, you've got AP1, you've got reroll ones, like whatever. I really could have done with that. That would have really helped me just to not forget. You might go to the event and be like, oh, I'll never forget those things. But you 100% do in the heat of the moment, because you're trying to be social, good opponent. You're trying to think about your army. You're trying to think about what your opponent's army can do. So many things you're trying to juggle when you don't know your particular faction as well. So that would be my point of like.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other pointers, guys?
I think trying to understand your defensive profile, not your profile, but what you generally will stand up to, and your output of your units. So I know one of my finest moments was taking Dark Angels out for the first time in like 2 editions. This is after playing Drukari for 2 years, and it's playing on GW. There was a objective in the open. I went first. I had Deathwing Knights within like 6 inches. Didn't go onto it because in my head I went, if I walk onto that objective, I lose the unit. it's just that switch of going, you know what, this army actually functions completely differently, and if I put it there, generally, is it going to die, or is it generally going to kill this thing if I shoot it? Have like 3 profiles you've got in mind for your damage output.
100%. And we refer to this in testing and for teams as limit testing, right? It's like, if I shove this out, can you kill me? Rob and I have played Votan against his armies many times. I will shove my land forts at you, and I will see if they die, because it's useful for me to know. Rob one-shots them like 100% of the time when he shouldn't, but it's fine. And I think knowing that is really important, because then you find your push conditions, you find the conditions where you can force the issue, and you also learn the matchups and the situations where you need to play slow and respect things, right?
Yeah, I had a really fun game against Adam Parameter for one of my first guard games. He was playing Necrons. He just basically talked to Matt Bell to get a list and sort it out. I got my guard, and he went, don't know what to do here. I'm going to jam it. I kind of stood there and we talked it through. I'm like, I don't know what happens here. I think I need to push. He's like, let's find out. It's just having those games where you just jam into each other and go, cool, let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's so important to do that. I think actually the modern game is funny. I think there were previous editions where that was not great play. It's really good now. Like, you have to be really proactive and pushy in any game where you can get away with it. So it's important to know how those games are and what you can get away with and really build on that basis. Okay, fantastic. Any sort of concluding points? Have we got anything else in the chat before I move us along? We've got visual aids for buffs like tokens from Ed. That's really good advice. So it's nice to have little tokens, something to count things, gems, or some additional currency is quite fun for that as reminders. I like I had various blips and different things for GSC as reminders. I think those are really useful. I quite like actually having the aspect shrine tokens for Eldar, so you can remember those as well. That's really nice to have. Anything that gives you a nice little visual reminder as well. So I think it's definitely all those little tiny things is really important. One thing I think is as Chris was saying earlier on about reading rules back, if you've used units and you're reviewing them afterwards, and reviewing units and how you use them is the most important thing. Reread the datasheet, right? So an example this edition for me is Drazar and Incubi, right? Where the first few times I used that unit, I found it really underwhelming, and it took me like 3 weeks of using it and rereading all the rules it has. And each time I read it, there was something else. I was like, you know what, actually, this does more damage. This rerolls this. If I set this up, it rerolls this as well. There's a lot going on with it. But if you just run it into something at full health, it will bounce off it because you're not meeting any of the criteria that make that unit work. So rereading the data sheets and the combos available to you with units after you've used them, especially if you were like, that didn't do what I thought it was going to do, I think is really important, because you'll often find more juice there than you realise. Like Chris is saying with his Infernal Master, I think is a really good example there as well.
I would say manage expectations. Just don't put too much pressure on yourself, right? Like when you're learning something new, just accept that every game is a learning process, right? Because I know that's something that I've had issues with in the past, and it's just you need to it's not gonna. Some armies are not gonna click right away, right? There are harder armies to play than others. So you are gonna have some armies that you pick up very quickly, some armies that take more games, and so it's worth keeping in mind that just because Necrons is super broken at the minute, you may lose your first 5 games because they're not necessarily as easy as you thought they were to play. But don't get discouraged, and you got to keep persevering with it.
Yeah, completely. That's exactly right. I think you kind of have to leave preconceptions of yourself as a player at the door. It's not useful, right? If you go in thinking, "Oh, well, I win lots of games. I should win this game." It's like, no, because you've got no idea what's going on, and you'll figure that out as you go. I think that's definitely really, really good advice. But yeah, I think those are my immediate thoughts. Anyone got anything to add before we move along? Okay, terrific. What we will do is move to eyeballing the pairings for our upcoming tournament. Just to reiterate, this is a fundraising tournament. We're going to stream WTC this year. We're really excited to be there. We've been raising money for a few months now to essentially buy a streaming setup for 6++, which we're massively excited to do. We're going to stream WTC, and then we'll be doing a studio. We'll be doing other events. We'll be doing all sorts around the country in the future. You guys have been incredibly generous with that, so massive thank you. And we're pretty much, I think the fundraiser event should more or less push us over the line here to go and get that all bought and started, which we're massively excited to do. So thank you for that. But there's a GT to be fought. There is a whole bunch of players. We're up at Prestige on WTC Terrain. Should be really, really fun. Chris, do we have the pairings?
Well, I've just messaged Scrivo to release the pairings, but I myself can see them right now. And I will therefore share my screen.
Oh my god!
So that we can see them absolutely live. And I think
am I the only one actually playing here?
Oh, no. Huh?
You're the only one actually playing.
Yeah. We've got a lovely round, Rob. Don't worry, sir. As I was reading through this, I was like, "Oh, that's a spicy matchup. Oh, that's a spicy matchup. Oh, there's a lot of spicy matchups going on here." There's one hilariously spicy matchup, which we are all very excited about. Well, they might not be. So here we are.
Oh God, it's the Infinite Hall of Mirrors.
It's the Infinite one. Here we go. Boom. Pairings are now live. So, table 1, Jamie East on his Custodes versus Stephen on
that's a classic already.
That's already a classic. Yeah. We've then got Paul on his Dark Angels versus Chris Chambers on his Death Guard. I don't actually know Chris. Steve, good old Steve, he's probably on his fists again, is playing a Space Marine Mirror. Lucy with a Hierophant and lots of Tyranid monsters is playing into Luke Cook on Deathwatch.
Xenos Hunters versus Xenos, love that.
We've got Patrick on Thousand Suns playing into Peter Duff on Chaos Space Marine.
Scroll down a bit, mate, because our faces are in the way.
Oh, sorry. Right. Alex Chancellor on Necrons into Tom Hampshire on Votan.
Nice.
We've got Jack Doddy, Leagues of Votan versus Michael Duff on his shooty list. So that could be a lot of fun. Whoever goes first there could shoot the living bejesus. Ed's got his favourite army to play against, Necron, so he's going to be really excited about that. Good for you, Ed. Rob, you've got Mr. Mark
Crumbles
on Necron.
Yes,
sometimes. We have got Ben Pritchard's Dark Angels versus Chris on Chaos Demons. Luke Townsend on Tau versus Andy Mitten on Space Marines. Aaron with his Death Guard coming over from America.
Oh my god!
Aaron. He's got Tony Choose.
That's another barnstormer of a game. That'll be really fun.
Absolute game. We've got Dave Murdoch on Tyranids versus George on Space Wolves.
Nice.
We've got Adam Gawley on Drakari versus Chris Langton on Death Guard, and then on the match of the round. Nassim on GSC.
Matt Langton on Nids against GSC. Nassim.
Can I just say, there's a slight missed opportunity not to have, because we had the England players, so they had them vote on the 3 England players we had the vote for.
Yes.
It was a missed opportunity to not have them all on Orcs. That would have just been a great meme.
Yeah.
We got 3 of them on Orcs. We should have just put them all on Orcs.
Oh, bless. So, yes, I think Nassim, Jack, and Tony have all had their armies voted for. And anyone who's had anything voted for by the public 40k base will know how this works. You give them 3 options. They pick the one that's going to screw you over the most, and they send you on your way. That'll be a really interesting game.
It'll be a fascinating game. So, GSC versus Tyranids. Matt obviously went undefeated at
He's
the weekend.
A sensational player, yeah.
Absolutely on fire. Nassim. Oh, what a that's the final of most GTs. That's round 1. Very exciting. Davey on GSC has got Adam Parmenter on Deathwatch. Very nice. Very thematic. Jack is trying to win the event again with more Daka. He's playing Michael Arnold on World Eaters. Our very own Harley on new CSM has Charles on Deathwatch.
That is Spicy game.
That is a spicy game. Josh Wood on his guard is taking on Greg Chamberlain,
Chamberlain on the Votan.
Leagues of Votan. Mr. Andrew Bobbin in the chat is on Admech. He's playing to Sam Dunn.
God, it's all spice, isn't
Marines.
it? It's
that's
great.
That's a shooty game, I imagine. Matt Sadler on Marines. There's a lot of Deathwatch our event.
Well, they're the best army in the game, right? So,
maybe.
Damn you, Innes. Damn you.
I hate it when he does this. I hate it when he does this.
Josh Bevington on Necrons versus Alex Walker on Chaos Demons.
Fantastic.
Aiden's Blood Angels has got Martin's Space Wolves. Martin, I have your pink shirt to collect. Jerry coming over from Belgium is playing to Gareth on Chaos Knights.
Very nice.
We've got a Dom off. Dom Bald Space Wolves versus Dominic.
Oh, there's another doozy.
And then we've got a old school trash game. Alex Fowler's Guard versus Ben Pierce's Emperor's Children.
That's a game that's going to happen. Yeah,
that is a game. Matt Bell's Necrons onto Maxwell's Aldari.
Okay.
Chong's Custodies. The two Custody players have managed to pair into each other.
Are they both on Land Raiders? That's really funny if they are.
I don't know if they're both on Land Raiders. Ashley's Demons is taking on Leo's Blood Angels.
Wow.
So there are a lot of fun matchups there. I'm gutted we're not streaming this. That would have been awesome. There are lots of fun stuff.
A lot of really high quality games there. That's very, very exciting.
And some people are going to be losing and then absolutely battering someone.
They're playing NAS.
They're playing NAS.
It is worth saying, chat, we've still got one ticket, I believe, left to go to sort out. And we've got one person still to add as well. So if you're still interested in coming, it's not too late. You can get yourself into that event still if you want. Just drop us a message. Those are all incredible games. And we must have set a very sensible mission for round one.
I know the map is quite a shooty map.
I think it might be supply drop tipping point.
No, it's not supply drop.
Is it not?
No,
okay, we changed it.
I have played it. It's quite a standard one, I think. But it's the map is very open and shooty. So if you're like a shooty army, or if you're not playing a shooty army, and you go second, it could be an interesting time.
Ed says believes it's Terraform. Aiden in chat says, gutted you're not streaming about 8 tables. There are so many games there that I'm going to be watching very intently because that is awesome.
Our viewers and community are very generous. I don't think they're 8 streaming sales.
Yeah, you guys have been wonderful, but I'm not sure about that.
Suffice to say, we will be doing a lot of content over. It'll just be in the form of shorts and on Facebook videos. So over on YouTube, we'll be doing a load of shorts during the round, just keeping everyone updated, and we'll share them onto Facebook. So if you, just check out YouTube and Facebook over the weekend, you'll be able to see how everything is going. We'll do round updates, little interviews, all the good stuff. So 100%. We'll keep everyone updated.
Yeah, perfect. Great. Well, that is us, I think. We've prepped you for a new army. We've talked about a GT. We've had some tomfoolery. I got compared to Jason Biggs, which is going to haunt me. So it's been a great day. Been another great day in the Blues household. Thanks so much for watching. Do hit like, subscribe, leave a comment if you haven't already. And we'll see you this weekend up in Barnsley, the place to be. The actual home of UK 40k. It will not just be an event. It will be our event. And it's going to be excellent. We'll see you there. All right. Night, guys. Bye-bye.